AAC's campaign plan amid the emerging realities. So, you are welcome, sir, to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have been expecting you, so we're grateful that you're here now. Okay, so we have Omoyele Sowore in the studio today, and we'll be definitely asking questions about the 2023 election, the AAC's preparations about it, and also your person also contesting for the position next year. All right, so I will be starting off with a question for you about I want to go to the radical side of you, because I'll be asking that first. You have always been described as a radical person in the way you act, and probably with some of your utterances, also right from your days as a student, an activist. Yeah. And so is there a real reason behind your radical nature? And also, is such radical style the kind of leadership you think Nigeria needs? Because many have come at you and said such behavior is not a presidential one. And so, how do you respond to that?
Well, good morning once again. Thanks for having me on the show. You see, I was born shortly after the Civil War. I was born in 1970. So I didn't participate or witness the Civil War. But I did witness a level of oppression in the country that as early as 10 years old, my village was raided by Nigerian police over issues relating to resistance in the market day. And I was there in the dark, witnessing some atrocious activities of Nigerian police. And since I was 10 years old, I made a promise to myself that if the Nigerian state was going to be the Federal Republic of Injustice, I would resist it when I had the capacity to do so. So my radicalism started from experience when I was really young, but it did evolve during my time in the university when there was full-blown dictatorship, military rule, under military rule.
Yes, under military rule.
But there's still full-blown dictatorship today under civilian rule. So that's where I joined forces with the likes of Femi Falana, several activist students and non-students. Our goal at that time was, there were two in particular. One was to drive the military out of power, and one was to change the economic philosophy of Nigeria, the structural adjustment program, which brought us to where we are today. So that meant that I was targeted also, and my being targeted led to 2 expulsions from the university. So when other graduated, I was still in the university. I spent 6 years studying a 4-year course at the University of Lagos. So each time they came at me, I just became more hardened to ensure that even if I can't stop oppression in my lifetime, at least my children, relatives, and the people of Nigeria would not, the future would not be as bleak as we have it today. So when people come at me saying that, my radicalism is not presidential, the question we should ask them is those who have become presidents, and then non-radicalism is what puts you where you are today. So I cannot apologize for who I am. I cannot say that it is wrong to hate oppression and to resist oppression, and to have been part of the resistance movement in this country. I'm proud of it. And we have seen even more radical people who became president, including Nelson Mandela in South Africa. There are people who witness our kind of oppression. They were not even just sitting there and using out of war to fight back. They took up arms against their traducers and oppressors. But we chose very early in life that we not engage in violence, because at the end of the day, the same people we are fighting for, we will become victims of a violent confrontation.
So you have just been like making sure your voice.
I mostly use my voice, but I found out that I've used my voice, I've used my pen, I've used my keyboard, but I found out that any form of resistance is alien to oppression. Even if you are dead in crime, they want to shut you up, or shut you down. So we find this to be very effective, non-violent resistance, because that is what brought us democracy in 1999.
All right, let's talk about campaigns that started September 28th. Some of your opponents appear to be taking the lead with their ambitions. We've seen the candidate of the opposition launch his campaign a few weeks back, and also it appears to have taken the support of the international community. Talking about one of the candidates in the opposition. And while that
did you say
really,
international community?
yes, talking about one of
where's the international community?
I'm talking about one of the candidates now who,
Yeah,
so far on social media, we're talking about the PDP presidential candidate, and also
the one that traveled to the US.
The US.
To go and meet with the people he traveled with in the hotel lobby.
Okay.
That's not international.
And that's what the ruling party candidate some days back kicked off his campaign, and also just over the weekend sought the endorsement of the leader of the Yoruba socio-political group, FENFER, that's in the person of power, Ruben Fashoranti. And action, you referred to that action as a good?
Good.
Yeah.
I was actually disappointed that the southwestern part of Nigeria, the people of the southwest, failed. I mean, not the people, but these leaders failed completely. What we know the southwest for is some measure of intellectual tolerance or advancement, in the sense that the Arewa group even beat them this time around. They pretended, at least in Arewa and Kaduna, to give everybody a chance to come and present their program.
You said it pretended.
Let's assume that they did, because there were allegations that there was an article that was behind the. That's according to Papa, so not me. But at least they did allow people to come to Arewa House in Kaduna and participate in town hall meetings. What they're saying, that's why I said if they want to pretend, is that look, we must hear from everybody, or at least as many people as possible, and then we decide to choose who we think is good for our region. That's what I expected the Yoruba leaders to have done, the Afenifere, Team A or Team B, as I like to call them, or their feeder teams, is let all the candidates come to Ibadan, Makwo Hall, that is their own traditional space, and present. And then you cannot pretend that you are choosing one over the rest. But I guarantee that they knew it would not be possible, because the candidate they want to endorse would not have come to the public outing. Or if he did, he would have performed so badly that the Yoruba people would be screaming that, please, how can you choose this man to?
But we had them also endorse the Labour Party.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why they just separate themselves.
A lot of buzz from Nigerians. The reaction was quite.
That is why they had to go for. That's why Tinubu had to go for the other team. Because the team B, I don't know which one is team A or B now, but I call them team A and B.
So they are factions.
That's what we're saying.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that they have no right in the first place to impose on any group of persons who to vote for. And the Southwest people are very difficult in that nature. Since the history of political elections in the Southwest, they have never followed one single candidate. Even Obafemi Awolowo, who is their hero, who is an icon in Yoruba, had opposition. Akintola and the rest of them.
Yes.
When he came out, was even in '79, he had opposition. Obasanjo, Akinjide, and the rest of them brought MPN to the Southwest and defeated all candidates in the following that, even though it was rigged. But Yoruba people have never all packed themselves in one ship. They are too fiercely independent, in my view.
But doesn't this affect the ANC campaign for 2023?
No, it doesn't. That's why I said on my Facebook page yesterday, there's Team A and Team B of Afenifere, and then there's Team P, Team People. That's the one that we go after.
So there's a Team A, Team B, and then
in Afenifere.
In Afenifere.
Yes.
And so there's
we are not just no, we are the ones going after the Team People. Team P, that is the people themselves. That's I coined that myself just so that they can know how fruitless it is. It doesn't affect us. We are not going into I'm not going to go into the person's house to surrender my head to the Lord for election purposes. No, I don't even go to churches and allow people to place their
You do not need the support of the region?
I do. But we need support of the people of the region, not social cultural organizations.
So you say that the AAC doesn't
Look, this old man, I don't have any problem with that. People in their 90s should not be determining for people in their 30s which they should go for. Yeah. To be honest, respectfully, I've told some of them, you're in the departure lounge of life. When you're in your 20s, you're doing what are you still struggling for at the age of 94? Trying to impose candidates on the population of over close to 50 million people, who are mostly people between the age of 24 and 35.
Have you not been told that elders are filled with wisdom, so is that not the case here?
If there's wisdom amongst these elders, it is not reflecting what they did in the last few months. Yeah. I think, there's the wisdom of the youth, and there's the wisdom of now. So, but my advice is, because I don't want to sound as if I'm disrespecting. My advice is that you should take care of yourselves. Play with their grandkids. Take care of yourselves and stop interfering in political affairs of.
So you're asking them to retire at this point, and
Yes, I mean, the retirement age for a worker is between 60 and 70 and 94. What are you struggling for? What do you want again in life? Like will make you go and be fighting yourself.
Well,
Most of them are in their 90s. You build up team A and team B. They're 90s struggling.
As long as there's life, there's hope. So.
There is, but what we're saying is that we are asking for them to just respectfully bow out and let younger people conduct their affairs.
All right.
Best interest of people.
We've been talking with the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, the person of Omoyele Sowore. You kicked off your campaign in Canada.
Yes.
Yes, and the Northwest region, the state known actually to be one of the deciding states when election matters.
Yes.
And
Go ahead.
and it's home to millions of voters, not just that, home to one of the leading contenders in the race who seem to have a movement that spreads across the length and breadth of the state. That's talking about the Concasia movements, for instance. A lot of people, they would want to ask, why can't the state, the home of one of your biggest opponents in the race, and whether or not you have any political base in the states that led you to kicking off your campaign in the states?
Number of reasons. If you want to defeat your opponents, you take fights to their doorsteps. So, although I don't see capacity to be a serious contender.
Oh, okay. Are you referring to him as a friend?
No.
Okay, all right.
I've never met him.
Okay.
But we also chose vice president for Kano. He's a lawyer for Kano.
Okay.
So it's natural that we want to go to this where the DP is from. But the most important reason we started from Kano is because of one of the most astute, respected socialist politician in Nigeria, Aminu Kano, is from Kano.
All right.
Yes. The airport is named after him. Hospitals.
Okay,
Most people have probably don't know because they don't teach history in our university, or universities now, or even secondary school. So this person is someone that we respect a lot. He's the one who mobilized the Talakawas.
Okay.
He's on base in the north. I think his party was NDP, and they confronted the oligarchy in the north and make sure that they were able to sustain the socialist base political system that spread wealth, spread the right to education, and all the great things, some of them that happened. So that was the attraction for us, for this number of reasons. We were well received in Kano, and we really enjoyed our time out there. And the fact that, contrary to what people think down here, that Kano belongs to any particular political market, it's not true. They showed to us where they're very open-minded, they received us. We went everywhere, places that so many of the candidates cannot even go to. We traveled around Canada, met with a lot of people. And they even asked us to come back very soon. So
you went there because of your advice?
It gives you a number of reasons. It's more than that. But I'm just telling you some of the reasons why we just kind of first and not later also those happenings.
But why do you think it is long for your campaigns to keep up? Seeing the history that you have, you've been your voice, you've said to use your voice, your pen, your keyboard also, and then campaigns kicked off like about a month ago, and it's just, why did it take you this long?
See, I'm one candidate that never stopped campaigning since 2019. So,
Okay.
yes. And what are the issues affecting Nigeria? You don't know that. I organized protests. I've talked about them every day. I was stuck in the city by way of the court order for 3 years. Everyone knew that I was sentenced to live in Abuja for 3 years. That's the way I see it. And I did everything to keep the flag flying, to keep the issues alive.
Yeah.
And it led me to being rearrested again. It led me to being shot by a police officer in the city. I did a torture. My nose was broken at the point. So I never stopped campaigning. So when the others who are perennial politicians are the ones who wait for campaign dates before they start their campaign. So and what they said is that it starts in September. But that doesn't mean it will start in March. And the other candidates, I've only seen a few of them also pick up their campaigns. Maybe some of them have 2 major outings. But I have been doing a lot of small outings, engaging people. One of that campaign strategy that I use now that I reveal it to them to start using it is that I'm doing a lot of virtual campaigning.
Okay.
Where we use Zoom, social media outlets, campaign to a lot of people. And when you combine those people watching and listening from the comfort of their homes, home and abroad, they are more than some of the, some of the stadium filled by people.
But are the people watching going to be there on the election?
Absolutely.
You're sure about that?
I'm very sure. Positive.
It's deep into the fabric of this society, and probably the reason why the country is the way it
There's
is
no question about it.
presently, with things not working and all of that. How do you intend to achieve this? For instance, trillions of naira being spent in subsidy. How do you intend to achieve this? This is something that has been existing for years.
Yeah, well, there were problems that I was born into that I helped solve.
Okay.
Yes, one of it military rule. When I was born, there was military rule 1971, and by the time I turned 28, I had helped to solve the problem of military rule. So corruption is one of the problems that I have even started solving as an individual. As you are aware, I set up an anti-corruption website that is very, very famous for outing corrupt individuals. And I've helped send some of them to jail.
Okay.
Help
Are they still in jail?
No, of course. I'm not responsible.
Okay, people in jail.
My job is to send them there, if I could. But as to how to keep them in jail, their friends always get them out as soon as.
So doesn't this defeat it?
No, it doesn't defeat it, considering that anybody who is jailed for corruption is known to society.
Okay.
One of the reasons why people are sent to jail for any offense, for that matter, is for the sake of identifying them as bad people.
Yes.
And shaming them.
Uh-huh.
The law shames you by putting you in jail and reducing your status in society to somebody who will refer to as an ex-convict.
But in Nigeria, would you say that has
well, you're asking me what I'll do. So, but let's talk about what needs to be done.
Okay.
I think the biggest problem with corruption in Nigeria is the fact that we don't prevent people from stealing. Processes only wait after they have stolen. And it's always very difficult when people have amassed wealth, illegal wealth, to take it back from them. No matter how legally upright or astute or tenacious a lawyer may be, the moment someone steals $1 billion, you are most likely not able to get back even 100 million or even 10 million sometimes. All the people under the regime, this regime that were arrested when he initially arrived, all of them have recovered their goods back from the government. almost all that I know of.
Okay. All right.
Some of them have become ministers today. Some of them have become governors under the same political party that came and said they want to fight corruption. So my first goal would be to entirely apply technology to the way we conduct our financial affairs, both publicly and in the private sector as well. And what this means is that I will get rid of paperwork for most people. Everywhere I go to, people start writing something down on paper. It's just suspicious. We also have to get rid of the paper naira as part of our transaction. That doesn't mean that it will not become a legal tender. It's just that if you're a contractor, I'm not paying you with, paper naira. And we now have e-naira, which they introduced, but they don't know how to work.
Okay, I was wondering if that was the one.
Yes, but if you use the advantage of e-naira, in the sense of technology, every time that you experiment can also be tracked.
Yes.
So, because we are not going to be able to take it out.
Yes.
We have said it now. So, and that's the way government all over the world operate. America, that everybody is shouting about everything, have corrupt people. In fact, I have been quoted that said that America is the most corrupt country in the world. One street in America, known as Wall Street, is more corrupt than all the West African countries put together. So, but the difference between theirs is that they exist institutions and processes in place that can catch people even after they have committed offenses for over 40 years. Yeah, there was a Wall Street person who stole over 50 billion. And he was a successful person. Everybody was doing well. One investigation led to reveal all his shenanigans.
So that's what you said.
But to go back to
Yes.
the starting point, is to ensure that we straighten up our systems with technology in such a way that every transaction in federal government is involved, state government, local government, are not so important that people can just take cash and run away with them or hide them. The moment you put those in place, you have solved 50% of Nigeria's corruption problem. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The second part is enforcement.
Okay.
There are laws in this country called almost everything that needs to be done right, but they are not properly enforced. And why is it that our laws are not enforced? That has to do with place of connection, who you know or who you don't know. Like they say in this country today, if you have a big corruption case, you just get two sets of lawyers. The ones that know the law and the one that knows the judge. So we have to get rid of such practices so that our judiciary can have that level of interest and confidence from the citizenry that they know that judges are not compromised and corrupt to the point that they will see something that is white and call it black. And I can say this categorically because I go into our courtrooms a lot.
Okay.
To face my own cases, and in the course of sitting down, I just have to shake my head. It's not the whole of justice. You can't get justice. You can just walk into the courtroom in Nigeria, here it is Abuja, and get a court order without, pay for it. You pay for it, and then you can get it. You see them in court. You see, like, the courts are like open markets. From everybody is involved in this corrupt activity. So the judiciary has to be strengthened enough. When the way to strengthen the judiciary is not to interfere in the judiciary, but law enforcement agents, including anti-corruption watchdogs, can catch judges who are involved in corruption. It's very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't have to disclose
You
that.
don't have to disclose that,
Yeah.
yes.
So the last stage of fighting corruption, so we talked about enforcement now, is to ensure that every citizen in the country is exposed to how we do business. The bulk of corruption in Nigeria is promoted by our opaque way of doing business. What I say opaque, for instance, nobody knows how many federal contracts there are in Nigeria, which areas they are awarded, how much they are, who is the contractor. We don't even have, I think the CAC is trying now to make sure that all companies in the country, you can download the principal officers of companies. But they're not doing enough. I would make it open That's the essence of open government. Every transaction, every contract in Nigeria will be on the website that the federal government is involved with. Any allocation that federal government is involved with should be on the website. So if you are constructing a road between Abuja and Makoja, what is the date of commencement? What is the expected date of completion will be on that website. What is the construction company handling the sewage? And I mean what was it called? The gutter, we like to call them here. Who is doing the main work? Who are the smaller, big contractors? It should be on the website. And then you can go to the website of the CAC and download who are the directors of this company. When did they start it? So if a company that was started in September, just last month, 2 months ago, is getting a contract of 2 billion, it raises suspicion that somebody is trying to play games on us. But if it's 20 years old and you have credibility and information and testimonials that you've been working, then we can understand. If we find on the website of CAC that the director of the company is 9 years old, you already know who they are. So that way, you eliminate a lot of the shady ways we contract. I'm just using contract as one of the examples. And who are involved in implementing this contract. And you will find out in that regard that you will just easily find the corrupt people who are awarding contracts to themselves. You will find the House of Rep members, senators, and those who should not be involved in contracting out work to themselves on those kind of platforms. Yes.
So you're saying you're using technology to tackle corruption.
Right, yes.
But doesn't that take people out of jobs? Because talking about technology,
no.
We're talking about people being literate when it comes to the 21st century.
What takes people out of job is the corruption that we're talking about. Because what should be meant for ordinarily 1,000 to 2,000 people are taken by one person. We deny that if you get a contract for 100 million naira and it's never implemented, that means people don't get employed or hired to even work in the first place. But assuming without considering that every contract in the country is implemented, you can imagine how many people will be busy today. Go to the federal government of finance, the federal ministry of finance, and see how they are paying people for contracts that are not implemented. It's not only federal, state, local government. Just close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes for a second. And imagine that if all the contracts that have been given out this year, documented in our budget, that have been awarded, have been implemented, over 4 million people will be employed as I'm talking to you, just for temporary jobs, and they will be paid. But when our very powerful politicians corner these contracts, share the loot between them and the officials who approve of the money and they do take their shares, who then make sure that the jobs are never done, you are shortchanging the job market, the employment market.
The question I'm asking is, we have enough people who are literate when it comes to 21st century technology. Presently, if you go around, I'm going to use the FCC, go around the ministries, I have been opportunity to actually pursue some sort of issues.
Not a contractor.
No, not a contractor. When I say issues, I'm talking about issues of pension, grandparents' pension, and that kind of situation. And you come across people who do not even understand basics. And so if you intend tackling corruption with technology, you have people who are not even literate.
No,
doesn't that take them out of the system?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Some of the technology we need to stop this nonsense we're talking about are not more than using your phone. You can hardly find a person in this FCT who doesn't have a phone, who doesn't know how to operate a bank account. Yes. There are over 100 million smartphones in Nigeria. There are 200 million people in the country. I'm sure we are almost at 140 million. There are people who carry 4 phones. And you think they are illiterate? They are not illiterate. There are people who you think are illiterate who can order food on their phones and it will be delivered to them. That's the value of technology, because technology creates new value shares every time it emerges. Imagine all the people who are delivering food. 10 years ago, the only place you can get a taxi is to walk around and go to the taxi park. Yeah. It might be 1 kilometer away from where you are, you must walk there. But look at what Uber, Bolt, and all these all these taxi apps are doing to you now. It has brought into the job market people who ordinarily would not have been employed. And it has provided additional revenue or income for those who are employed who want to take up other jobs. There are a lot of people who are doing Uber who also have mainstream jobs. They just want to make extra money. Before, you could never find a female driving taxi. Maybe you find one out of 1,000. Yeah. These days, you call Bolt, the person driving is a female. So, value chains everywhere, and that's the value of technology. But the downside of it that I am explaining to you is that, look, see what is happening to our system. This is very gory corruption, where people will be awarded 2 billion naira worth of contracts. That's fully made. If all these contracts are being implemented, how many hands will be employed? There will be an accountant on board, a lawyer will be asked to draft something. The illiterate people we're talking about will have daily jobs to do, and most likely, if they work and work so hard, they will have no time for terrorism, banditry, and several other ills that are afflicting our society today. So, when you apply technology, you create even new areas of
that. And also, do you have plans on how to tackle insecurity in Nigeria?
Absolutely. I have plans on how to tackle every problem in Nigeria. Except the mundane ones, but that will be for another discussion in the future. But let's talk about the terror alert. It's a shame, crying shame, that you need an embassy in Nigeria to tell the Nigerian people that they are in danger. You can't try that in the US. Can you imagine the ambassador of Nigeria in the US telling the US that please you need to check Washington DC, there are some terrorists there. They'll fly you home that night. You are going to be on the next flight. You won't be allowed to carry your things except whatever you have for you. Yeah. Because it's the kind of intervention that they will find disgraceful to their country, and that you have also overstepped your bounds as as a diplomatic person on the ground. But the reason these other guys get away with it is that they've seen that there's no governance in place, proper governance. They understand the weakness of our leaders. And they might also have seen that they are not serious about insecurity in the land, and they might be helping us by exposing this. What I found out in my own little research was that they have a housing estate at a school across from the stadium where they found a bomb, and the ISWA people wrote there that you don't think you can hide, we know where you are. And it's supposed to be a bomb that would have killed a lot of people. And they brought the attention of the government to it. The government didn't do anything about it. And the truth is that
you just said they have an estate.
Yeah, the diplomatic staff of the US, they have a housing estate across from the stadium. It's not hidden. They also have an American school there. And they found it. And it's a place that they don't expect such. And they did their own research because they have their own agents all over the world, including this. And they found out that the Boko Haram people had flooded into Abuja. They even have camps. You know what happened to the law school. You saw how they broke into this prison in Kuje prison. So they found many of their camps and sleeper cells all over the city, and they also listened in on their communications and found that when America, UK, and other countries wanted to help rescue the Chibok girls, and they exposed their plans to the Nigerian security officials, and they told Boko Haram they have not been sharing intelligence with top security officials because they found a lot of them to be compromised. There was a time when an army general was found to be in communication with Boko Haram leaders. That's why they can never end the Boko Haram war, because they are benefiting directly.
So how do you intend,
for me, it's also 3 stages.
Okay.
Yes. The immediate one was I fired the generals that never fought Boko Haram. If you have fought Boko Haram before, I see you are gone. You have no business. That's what Israel does with their generals. You go to lead the battle, you can't win. you know, you push you out of the way. Yeah. But that's not going to solve the problem. Additional partners we have, you know, get more weapons, you know, get our troops motivated, collect intelligence, analyze, and work on them, and do a lot of leadership changes within our security agencies. I was kept with the DSS for 4 or 5 months in 2019. All these DSS were shouting, they're only watching BB Nigeria. They're not doing anything. I said, what are you people doing here apart from going after activists? Nothing. Everybody's just there doing their own little deals. You know, I can't tell you how disgusted I was to find out that the nation's major intelligence building or office is engaging in mundane things and cases of that they have facilities, by the way, to do some intelligence gathering, do election activities where they get money, or to become chief security officers of governors, NNPC officials. You will be disgusted to find what tickles their fancy, as opposed to fighting for the country. I also discovered while I was there that they don't have collaboration with other security agencies. They can't stand the police cannot stand them, so they hold intelligence from each other. So there's no central office that's gathering, that is working to make sure that all the security agencies are working together. No. I'm telling you this, and I've said this is not my first time of saying it. They can't dispute it because they know that it's the truth. I was detained on top of the office of director of the Director General. I was his personal prisoner. So I had access to more intelligence than most of them did. You know, and I found them detained some Boko Haram guys. Boko Haram guys have cable, DSTV in their cell. They have like love seats. They were having fun. I wish I was detained with them because they were having great fun in there. And these not Boko Haram leaders.
So how do you intend, what are your plans?
So I just told you this story.
Yes.
That's how we address those is the number one I told you. Yeah. But ultimately, and Nigerians must know this, it is resolving a number of security issues that will solve the violence, and the security in the land. And one of it is social security. As long as people don't have food to eat, jobs, you can't have security. You're wasting your time. The second of it is for us to really have the appropriate person in charge of appropriate security agencies, and for security agencies to do what they are created to do. For instance, I have said it many times. Why would the police abandon its job for soldiers? Soldiers are so embedded in our security daily lives internally that some of them are controlling traffic. Soldiers have no business controlling traffic in the cities. They should be outside the perimeter of the cities in their barracks and doing protection for the country, not traffic, not helping people to carry food at parties, not doing VIP protection work. All those things have to be eliminated. But like I said, you must address socioeconomic inequalities if you want security in your country. This is one major thing, one major policy aspect that's always protected nations across the world. And so that takes us back to fixing electricity, ensuring that our education system is all right, healthcare is there, and solving some of the foundational problems of Nigeria. Nigerian problems are twofold, big problems. There are institutional problems and there are foundational problems. Foundational problems include our constitution. They include how this country itself was created. Nigeria was created as a business, in 1900, and then a few years later, it was the North was merged with the South, so what they call amalgamation.
Yes.
So they did not address so many of our foundational problems. Are we the same? If we are not the same and diverse, how do we govern diverse people? Of course, we can blame the British for that, but the British left us since 1960. What have we done to address so many of these problems? It's part of the reason why everybody should come together and change.
Done?
If we don't do it, then we can start kissing Nigeria goodbye if you continue to pretend that everything is okay.
Okay, this is Bright Republic of Bright 98.7, and our guest has been Omoyele Sowore, who is the presidential candidate of the AAC, the African Action Congress. I have a question from a listener asking, good morning to you, Virtue from Asodrive. You say, I join other patriotic and well-meaning Nigerians to welcome our next president, Omoyele Sowore, to Bright FM. You say, I salute you, Your Excellency, sir. This is from Virtue from Asodrive, is saying, one thing you have said in the course of putting out your policies and manifesto that Virtue is saying he loves so much is when you said you would probe and make the current administration pay for corruption carried out during his administration, and also make them account for every kobo stolen during their time in office. Asking if you're sure you can do that, and or is it just a political statement?
It's not a political statement. And the easiest way to explain this to Nigerians is that in 1999, President Olusegun Obasanjo found a lot of money stolen by Abacha, and they went after his wealth. You can argue that the only reason why they're after him is because he's dead.
Yeah, I wanted to say
So,
that.
if the dead can still be sending us money as of 2022 since 1990, the ones alive should be able to send us every kobo they stole.
Well, you just said,
Yeah.
you said here that, it's really hard getting back some of this money.
It is hard, but we can get it. We can get a lot of money back. What I'll say is going forward, I won't allow it to be for us to make it easy for people to steal. So, I mean, how do you allow one person, Abacha for instance, to have stolen $5 billion? Do you know what $5 billion could have bought for you? You can change $5 billion today. It's 810 naira or 820 to 5 billion. You multiply it. I'm sure if you get the figures, you'll be dizzy. Yes, if you put it on a highway, it will build a road from Maiduguri to Lagos. Yeah, there will be 6 lanes on both sides. That's a lot of money. $5 billion is a lot of money. If you ask how many gallons of water can it purify, it would occupy the whole of Egypt, in a reservoir. If you bought jets with $5 billion, all these huge jets, the A380, which is the biggest, the double decker, each of them is 400 million naira. So you buy, let's assume that we just create an airline,
Yes.
we will have some of the best jets in the world. And we have we can turn Nigeria into an international hub for the entire African continent, where if you don't go to Nigeria, you can't fly elsewhere. $5 billion can start that.
So it's doable. You can, do what the former president did. That's what you're saying.
I'm just saying $5 billion from one person.
Yeah.
So if we then pursue the others, the ones that are alive in particular, they are sitting on gold mines. So before you know it, we would have recovered over $60 billion. And what is our budget? So, and I'm sure we can even, we probably will recover, if we go after all the major people who are stolen from Nigeria, who are still alive, we can recover nothing less than $1 trillion easily. There are people who, as we speak in this Abuja, have stashed money in their apartments, houses. There are over 6,000, the DSS told me there are over 6,000 houses are unoccupied on Aso Drive alone. I mean the Aso Kuro area.
So it is not a political statement.
It's not, no, it's not. I've been fighting corruption on my own, just on my own. I fought corruption that recovered billions for Nigeria. So you can imagine what our president, there will be a lot of recovery.
So wrap it up with a final question. We know that looks like the ruling party, the PDP, and also the Labour Party seems like they're the front runners for the.
That's what you guys in the media.
It seems like they're the front runners. Do you think that your party stands a chance?
We stand a chance. We stand a better chance if they are interested in the elections. And this is where it's important to appeal to the media. I'm also in the media.
Yeah.
The complete manipulation of public perception about candidates is part of the problem we have in the country. How would you say that PDP is a front runner when their candidates that have run this country in the past, or APC? The candidate the APC presented cannot even go for debates. The man has not appeared before any one of you since he became a candidate. But you keep pushing him as a front. How is he a front runner? Is it by policy? Is it by intellect? Is it by physical fitness? How is he a front runner? Tell me, how is the PDP candidate a front runner? How is the Labour Party guy a front runner? No, you just you have this conspiracy against the public, the media, and I'm guilty too because I run a media company. I mean, I own a media company, I don't run it.
Okay.
Yeah. To say people who should not be, the real front runners are people who are speaking to these issues, the ones that you can call at any time and will show up on your show. I'm sure between now and the end of the election, you are not going to get any other major presidential candidate into your studio, but you deserve to.
Yes.
You should be asking them questions. All of them, you should be willing them in and out of studios to explain what they want to do for 200 million people. But those are the people that don't come to you that you call front runners. People who don't speak to anything. You just sit down in the comfort of your
We see their presence.
Where?
We see their presence.
Where?
So
Where's their presence? Are you talking
really
about the big rallies that they buy people to attend?
But when you refer to the,
do you know how Obama won U.S. election? He spoke at a rally. I mean, not a rally, a Congress of the Democratic Party at a very crucial period of the country. He didn't have no rallies. He didn't, and it was his intelligence that showed through his speech. His speech wasn't up to 20 minutes that made him president. Here, you are saying that you see their presence. Where? People who cannot even walk, they can't walk upstairs.
But
we
have to go back in history. When it comes to humans, there are some people in history that I would refer to as infamous who have also had supporters, as much as you.
It's fine, but we have a duty as a people not to keep imposing those infamous people on our political systems. And I'm speaking directly to young people now, and those who might still believe in bit in this country, because half of Nigeria have left. No, I won't say half, that's an exaggeration,
yes.
But half of the country wants to leave. So a lot of people have lost. But those of us who are still here, we must question why we keep accepting very tragic history. Because that famous quote that when history repeats itself, it becomes even more tragic for us. So must we repeat the history of failure, of absence, of lack of intelligence, or lack of clarity? No, we must reject it. So if a candidate is not fit for office, or hasn't shown that he's fit for office, you cannot say that you have their president. Just like a child that comes to class every time, but cannot pass exams. On exam days he doesn't show up. Can you promote such a person?
Of course.
Exactly. So that's what the other candidates are showing to you. They are telling you that they don't care about you. They don't even respect you guys in the media. When you invite them, they don't answer it. They don't talk to you. They don't discuss policy. You cannot interrogate what they are about. And you will keep saying that in front runners. I think it's high time we change that.
All right. It is a wrap today on Right Republic. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring this invitation. We appreciate that you made our time to do this with us. Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, yes. In the studio of Bright FM today on Bright Republic. We hope that when we extend the invitation again, we probably you honor it again.
If you agree not to call any candidate for